Motorsport is filled with superstitions and curses. As someone that owns a black cat, I should know about curses. And motorsport is filled with them. My favourite one is the Andretti curse. This is the curse referring to the Andretti family who haven't won the Indy 500 even after trying many times since 1969. But Mt Panorama has its own curse. The mountain is a cruel mistress on many occasions, but if you are starting in one specific position, you are destined to not win the race. The winner of the Great Race has come from many starting positions. First, second, third, fourth, every other position in the top 10 bar one, mid-teens, even the mid-20s have developed a winner. But there is one position in particular that hasn't found a winner, and that is the 8th place starting position. Yes, since 1963, a winner has not been found from that position. And as we'll discuss in this video, many legendary names with many Bathurst 1000 titles have started from the position, but when they haven't won the thing. So in the first of a couple of Bathurst related videos I want to do, let's go over the most cursed starting position in motorsport. The first one I want to talk about is, well, the most recent Bathurst 1000. 2024 had Anton De Pasquale and Tony D'Alberto in the number 11 car starting there. But where would they finish? Well, they finished 7th, which, going over this video, is actually a pretty good starting position, or is actually a pretty good finishing position. The next two shows how fucking cruel this starting position is. 2023 had Kevin Astra and Matt Payne starting there, when Kevin went off the road at turn 1 and brought out the first safety car, and that would have them finishing in 11th position, but at least they finished. The next one had James Courtney and Zane Goddard starting from 8th. James Courtney appearing on this video quite a few times. Zane Goddard, his only appearance, and how did they go in that race? Well, tune in to another video later on in the channel to find out. The next couple are pretty mundane finishing positions. You had LeBrock and Best finishing 15th, top 10 run for James Courtney and Brock Feeney on Brock Feeney's 18th birthday, and Nick Perkett and Tim Blanchard in 2019, they finished 14th, one lap down. James Courtney once again with Jack Perkins wasn't classified because of a mechanical failure. Jason Bright and Gary Jacobson finished 8th, which was actually very good considering how that car was throughout the year, and Gary Jacobson, he impressed quite impressively in that race, especially in the wet spots. The next three truly shows the curse on full force. Remember 2016? Garth Tander and Warren Luff started 8th, and they got caught up in the late race battle for the lead and would end up retiring because of crash damage. 2015, even the GOAT isn't susceptible to this curse. He and Paul Dumbrell started 8th in 2015, but they ran into that whole safety car debacle. And Dale Wood and Chris Pither had such a brilliant qualifying position for that number 21 car compared to what it was for the rest of the year, but unfortunately the curse bit him when he went up the arse of his teammate in the 8 car. Scott McLaughlin and Jack Perkins would finish 8th position in the 2013 race. And 2012 showed how close this number has gotten to winning because it was the number 52 car, the renumbered car for David Reynolds and Dean Canto, when they finished just this close from Jamie Whincup and Paul Dumbrell. Speaking of the GOAT, he is back on this list when they started in 8th in 2011 with him and Andrew Thompson. They controlled a good number of this race before a mechanical issue robbed him of a good finish. In 2010 was Jason Bright and Matt Halliday. They would finish 4th in the BJR car, not too far away from the leading 1-2 888 contenders. And from here on, it's just going to be notable results from the starting position. 2007 was James Courtney and David Bernard starting in 8th, and they came so close to winning this race in the Stone Brothers car. The previous year was Cameron McConville and Greg Murphy, and they would have the opposite luck, where they crashed at the top of Skyline in the 51 car. 2003 was car 17, Stephen Johnson and Warren Luff. They would start 8th, but finish in 13th, which doesn't seem too bad, but they were 3 laps down because of a mechanical issue midway through the race. 2002 was the 00 car, Craig Lowndes and Neil Crompton would start 8th, but they went through that whole plastic bag situation, if I can talk English, where the engine got cooked and they would retire from that one. 1999 would see Car 600, a pair of legends. Jim Richards and John Bell would be in the Cat car, but they would have a bunch of engine issues throughout that day. 1998 would see Jim Richards back on this list with young Jason Bargwanna in the Gary Rogers car, and they would finish on the podium, 10 seconds away from the eventual winners Jason Bright and Stephen Richards, who started this race quite far back. 1997 would have two notable results from the starting position. First, the Super Touring race, where Brad Jones and Roberto Ravaglia would end up finishing second because the first place driver would get disqualified, so they would get bumped up the podium, and John Faulkner and Win Percy would end up finishing fifth from this position. Why is that notable? Well, to show the attrition of this race, they were 7 laps down and got a top 5 finish. 1996 would see Tony Longhurst and a very green Stephen Ellery get a third place finish after Stephen Ellery did a double stint. 1995 would have the defending champions start in 8th, Dick Johnson and John Bowe, but they would end up getting crashed out by Glenn Seaton and retiring from the race. 1994 wouldn't be too notable. Yes, it was a third place finish for Larry Perkins and Greg Hansford, but this would be sandwiched in between 2 wins for the 11 machine, so this stopped the three-peat, the starting position. Even the King of the Mountain isn't able to get away from this curse. Peter Brock in the brand new 5-litre spec VP Commodore would start in 8th position alongside Manuel Reuter in the car, but unfortunately the tail shaft would snap at the start of the race and they would finish 27th. 91 and 90 would have 2 notable did not finishes for the 11 car and the 9 car respectively. 1987 would see Larry Perkins back on this list with Formula 1 world champion Denny Hulme, who would end up crashing after lap 2. And finally, Johnny Cicotto and Roberto Ravaglia, 2 legends of the 80s touring car scene, would end up finishing second after starting in 8th. So the curse, is it real or is it a coincidence? Well, it depends on how you think of the whole thing. It could just be a coincidence that this random spot hasn't given a winner, but then you look at the names that have started here but not won from here. You've got Peter Brock, Jim Richards, Craig Lowndes, you've got Jamie Whincup, Garth Tander, John Bell, Dick Johnson. All these names have started in this spot but haven't been able to win it through various circumstances. And the way that they haven't won it, some of them are just run-of-the-mill, goes through the day, but then other times are either very close to winning it or getting it taken out of the race through some weird circumstance, i.e. like Whincup in 2011 when they would have that mechanical issue, or Peter Brock right at the start of the race with that tail shaft snapping. Then you've got like Garth Tander, who got taken out after being in a fight for the lead in 2016. And then there's the case of Craig Lowndes and Neil Crompton when they had the plastic bag stuck. Now that's just bad luck. But what do you think about this curse? Is it real or is it a coincidence? Comment down below. I love the support that this YouTube channel has gotten recently. A lot of these videos are getting close or over 100 views. If you like this video and you want to see more, give a subscribe. The support would be very much appreciated. I want to get to 100 subscribers on YouTube before the end of the year. And follow me on TikTok and Instagram and Facebook for more shorter news-based content. And see you in the next video, whatever that one is.